Back with Grit and Grace. I'm Coach Jen.
And I'm Coach Leanne, and tonight we're going to talk about money as energy. It's kind of interesting.
Yes. I'm super excited to talk about this because I think actually, hey, look at the shirt I'm wearing, talking about hustling, the hustle culture that we live in, and the mindset that each of us have around hustle and money. And so, how is money is energy? Tell me, I'm curious to hear your thoughts. How money is energy. I saw you posted something the other day. Tell me what started that.
So I have, for whatever reason, I have been reading books about money. This is Rewire for Wealth by Barbara Hudson. A friend of ours turned me onto this book, and I got it, and I struggle anymore to read a book. But once I got to a point where I was hooked, I just read right through it. And one of the things that she, as well as this book, The Illusion of Money by Kyle C.
Yes.
This one's great. I can never find my camera. I listened to the audiobook, and then I decided to buy it because there are some things in here that I'm just not going to write down from the audiobook. I'm just, whatever, it's worth the 15, 19, 20 bucks, whatever. And I'm also listening to, You Are a Badass. So right now, You Are a Badass at Making Money, by Jen Sincero. I love the way she writes because she writes like I talk. So I hear her voice and it's my brain going, yeah, this is totally it. So I'm in a real money energy right now. And what I've learned, especially from The Illusion of Money, pick it up if you haven't. It's a good book. It's a great audio. But what I've learned is that money is an illusion. And throughout my professional career, the reason I chose engineering is because they pay engineers really well. And I couldn't afford to go to medical school. My first desire was to be a doctor. So the thing is, I chased after the almighty dollar for many, many years. And what I didn't realize was the energy I was putting out to chase. Well, when you chase something, it runs away. I will tell you, I gathered a lot as an engineer. I did. And I'm not even ashamed of it. But what I'm learning through reading these books is because I was chasing it, it was kind of running away. Just like, hey, like the dog that ran through my neighborhood tonight. When I went outside and I'm like, come here, Charlie. And he looked at me and he's like, up yours, lady. And he went, right? And that's the same thing that money was doing to me. Well, now I've got a better appreciation for it because the more attraction I put out, the more money comes to me. If I repel it, it just runs away. And the more I think about it, it's just energy. Money is one of those weird things. But in reality, it is just pieces of paper and metal discs that we assign value to. Used to be gold standards, not anymore. Economies run on it. The world turns on it. And it's the only reason we have it is so that we don't have to carry like 2 buckets of corn and a couple sacks of flour when we go dress shopping. I'm convinced it's pretty much that of a woman. A woman invented it. I am convinced that is the case. I'm convinced. So yeah. That is why I'm so excited about this. Not only that, so the clients that I work with are mainly women, and I always thought that everybody's grandpa told them that when you start work, tuck away 20% of what you bring home. That's your rainy day fund. That is what, pre 401k. And even now, with being a grown up and having investments, I still try to tuck away that 20% just to give it to my advisor at the end of the year and say, invest this. And not many women do that. And a lot of women don't do that because they have a block, believe it or not. Like there's some block here that says, yeah, girl, you are undeserving. Or, yeah, girl, your dad, your uncle, your brother, the man in your life ought to be doing this. Well, sometimes the man in your life might rob you blind. So you might want to have a little bit of control over this. Now, and some of it is resistance, and reframing and trying to get to the point where it makes sense. Because Eric and I we had a conversation with our financial advisor today. She knows that Eric comes from a financial advisor. Well, not at advising, but he's always worked at financial companies. I haven't. So she has to go really slow for me so that I understand it. Just because I don't understand it, I have an MBA, but I don't have a financial MBA.
Right.
That makes sense?
Yeah.
That is my new passion around money. I am trying to learn as much about it as I can so I can help my clients and my friends and my family attract as much of it as they want or desire. The other thing that I want to say is that in a lot of cases in our community, whatever that happens to be, your church, your family, whatever, you hear all the time, money is the root of all evil.
Yes.
It is incorrect. It is actually misquoted. The quote is, the love of money is the root of all evil. Money isn't, the love of it is. So
Right.
I'm on kind of a mission to separate that. And that takes a lot of patience and growth. Because if you grew up hearing money is the root of all evil, money is the root of all evil, money is the root of all evil, what do you want to be? I want to be rich. Then you just admitted you wanted to be evil. And that's not all what you admitted. You want to have that money, I don't know, to do good things, to do bad things, rule the world, fly a jet, I don't know. But there's a distinction there. And
Right.
I want to help people understand that there is a distinction.
Right. I always like what my family's financial advisor used to always stress to my grandma and my mom was that, money doesn't have feelings. It doesn't care who it goes to. It doesn't care what it does. It doesn't care what it buys. Money does not have feelings. You have feelings about money. Money is an object.
Mm-hmm.
And so, he used to really stress, sitting here and stressing over, who's going to get what, or worse, not planning for anything, really is worse because money doesn't care. Money doesn't care if it goes to the state, doesn't care if it goes to your heirs. Money has no feelings. So I think that really goes back to, what that real quote is of, it's not that money is the root of all evil. It's the love of money. It's the feeling around money that creates a negative impact around the energy of money because money is energy. And so, that's what drives, I think, it also drives this the thought process, maybe you grew up in a home where there was always a struggle for money. Money and employment was always a struggle. So then you get it in your mind that money is difficult to obtain. Money is difficult. Everything's just a struggle around it, and that's the mindset that you approach it with, and that's how it's attracted. That it has to be a struggle to get money, and it doesn't. There's the beauty is there is such thing as passive income. It doesn't always have to be a struggle. You don't have to live in a hustle culture 24/7, 365 to make money. There are other opportunities.
Yeah.
And it's your energy around it.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I took notes because that was just brilliant. I took notes. I agree with you in the energy. And when you were talking about that, I was thinking about my grandparents' generation, the Great Depression generation.
Right.
And both of my grandparents on my mother's side, so my grandmother and grandfather, when they were coming up through the Depression, each of their fathers had really good jobs. One worked for the city, and the other one, I don't know who, like he worked for the electric company or something like that. So they always had. They were frugal with their money, but they always were very generous with it. As opposed to my grandmother on the other side, her family, she were sharecroppers. And, my dad will tell me stories about going and getting government cheese when he was a kid. He remembers this. He was like 5 years old. Money was a struggle for them. And that is how it always was. Fortunately, I took after my mother's parents. And it's not a struggle, but I got it in my head that I had to run after it. And running, I'm chasing it. And I'm not ever going to do that again. I've learned too much about what it is.
Yeah.
And while I want a lot of it, because I want to do a lot of good things, I would love to donate a wing of a hospital if I ever amass that type of fortune. But the little things that I do get to do with the money that I have been blessed with from the universe, like I buy organic dog treats for my trainer's dog. I am such a retard. But they are, I call these the Thanksgiving ones because they're turkey, apple, and cinnamon.
Oh, that sounds good. Why
Doesn't
does
it?
that sound good?
Because you're probably hungry. There's chicken ones, there's beef ones. They're delightful, right? And I am so excited that I get to take these, and Darla will sit there and she just stares. And like I'll go get water and she'll walk over to me and I'm like, no, it's not time. Go back. She did that today, as a matter of fact. And I get to share that with them. Darla is not my dog, but that dog loves me to death, probably because of the treats. Have been able to gift friends with, I know I'm a nerd. You can call me a nerd. It's fine. I love My Pillow slippers. The company My Pillow that makes pillows, they have slippers. They're awesome. I was able to gift a friend those. They're like $70, but they're awesome. They have hard rubber soles and really squishy. They're just wonderful. And they're leather. So I am excited when I'm able to gift somebody something with the means that I've been blessed with. And I find that is something that lights me up. And I really am excited about that. So like when I go on my girls trip here coming up in September, so excited. I will tell you this. we're gonna have a good time. You know, we'll do the whole the fun stuff, and I
Yes.
get to share that with my friends, and I'm super excited. So I say all that to say I don't know what I'm saying, but it's an energy.
Yeah, no, I think too, when you think about your purpose in life, we were not put here and meant to struggle and be, and be alone and be in a constant state of struggle. We truly were put here, to be abundant and bountiful, and that's what we're supposed to be creating. And I think somewhere along the line we came into the concept that meant hustle, that meant constant work, grinding to misery. Well, then how bountiful or how abundant are you really being if you're stuck in that rut, right? So we're really not meant to do that. We're meant to live a life of abundance. And so when you think about that, that's the kind of energy that you want to be approaching money with, so that you can give back to society, give back to yourself, and live a life of abundance. um, your purpose really wasn't here to just do the, when I think about some of my clients, and the story is true even for myself, that there was a period of time where I was like, well, what does it matter if I'm overweight? I go to work, I do my job, I do a good job, I make enough money to pay my bills, and then I come home, and and then I just come home, and I sit in front of the TV, and I eat and I drink, and but this is what I'm like, I thought this is what I'm supposed to do. That's not what we're supposed to be doing. Our gifts and our giving shouldn't only be centered around our job. We're supposed to be abundant in life, from a much bigger perspective. And I think we've kind of lost sight of that. And so when you think about living an unhealthy lifestyle, um, it also goes back to the energy around money, because that says that your mindset around abundance in general, it's almost like you're back to this thing of, I'm not deserving. I don't deserve to have health and wealth, because your health is your wealth, right? I don't deserve this kind of wealth, and I don't deserve, um, all these things that could bring abundance. I'm just here to do my job, and and that's what I'm doing. And maybe you're even lucky enough. And here's where I think it comes into play. Let's say your job is, in some type of service. So maybe you're a nurse, you're a
Mhm.
teacher. You're providing a service. So you're like, well, I'm serving my purpose, but your purpose still is not meant. I mean, if that's your true gifts, you want to be able to gift that to the most people possible, or to the most of your ability. Now, I'm not saying that you have to touch everybody, because, right, we know that sometimes touching one life can actually impact several others. But you can't do that to your fullest if you're just going to your job, doing your job, coming home, and doing nothing but eating your health away. It's the same kind of energy. The same energy goes around money. It's that mindset of what abundance is, and the deserving of health and wealth.
Right. Oh, yes. And you hit it right on the head with abundance and deservability. When I started my health journey, I did not start it like you started yours. And I thought that I could still get away with processed foods. And up until very recently, I ate a lot of processed foods. Now I am buying the more organic, the more fancy, if you will, food, because I realize that it's better for my body. and I deserve that. And I have a high deservability for my body. And I want that energy coming to my body.
Right.
Recently, my husband has taken on a health coach because, Lord help me, I could never coach him. And she has been telling him the same thing. So now I'm starting to feel a synergy in our energies and
Oh.
starting to figure out that, maybe eating all the garbage food is just not a good idea. And maybe Leanne's actually been telling me the right thing for you. But the abundance feeling and the universal energy feeling. So you may call it God, you may call it whatever, but for the sake of argument, let's just call it the universe. The energy that you feel when you step into your deservability and you say, look, I deserve the very best. And you don't just say it because, like Oprah told you to say it. Like, you truly start believing that you deserve the best of everything. Everything starts to change. And
Yeah.
for that, you usually need to work with coach, and I'm just throwing that out there because that's what we do. But one of the things I was reading my post, the magic that you will bring into your life and your individual energy is when you start working with the universal energy. The universe is never going to say to you, nah, girl, you don't deserve to have the best food. Or, yeah, girl, you don't deserve to have that money, even though you would do great things with it. What the universe does is it says, this may not be your avenue, so let's go over here. That's the whole when one door closes, another one opens thing. And you have to believe that if you just trust in it, it will happen. Easier said than done. I will not lie about that. But when you say, I love money and all the good things that it does, it attracts. When you say, I hate money, money sucks, there's always more month than money, blah, blah, blah,
Yep.
it repels. And you don't ever want to repel it. You don't ever want to repel anything for deservability, because deservability, in my mind, it's one of those human rights that gets destroyed depending on how you brought up. Because you may have somebody say, no, you don't deserve that, and we won, and you believe them. So every time you go after X, whatever X happens to be, I'm 5'4"-ish, 5'5"-ish. So I would and a girl. So I'd never play in the NBA. And at some point in my life, somebody told me I was too short to play in the NBA, so I didn't even try anymore.
Right. Right.
I mean, it's kind of an extreme example, but you get the idea. But I was all that cake and cookies and stuff like that. I'm surprised all the teeth didn't rot out of my head, because I have a high deservability for crap food and not high deservability for salads. That makes sense.
Right.
Does that make any sense?
No, yeah. And it all goes back to whatever, maybe what stories you've been told or what stories you've been brought up with, around money, and that all just continues to play in. And then that's the energy that you bring to yourself. It's just, it's like the same mentality. When we talk about our grandparents and living in the depression, all those things of, you don't leave anything on your plate, you can't leave the table until your plate's completely clean. that was very much a scarcity mindset because they were just trying to survive.
Yeah.
Well, at some point in society, we left that survival and that scarcity, and we started getting more into abundance, but the story of you have to clear your plate was still there.
Hmm.
And everybody missed that the plates grew from this to this.
Well,
And
no,
so
no, it's a platter.
it's a platter.
It's
So now
serving.
clearing your plate is a totally different story.
Mhm.
And so I think the same holds true for our thoughts around money of, well, don't be greedy. You don't need to make that much. Um, right? Like that's kind of the story because I think it came from generations of scarcity where the mindset was, I just need to survive.
Yeah.
They couldn't think past that of thriving. No, because nobody around them was thriving, right? They're
Yep.
all just trying to survive.
Yep. And then you see in the 80s, I think it was the 80s, maybe it was the early 90s, Wall Street came out. And
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you remember the 80s. I remember the 80s because I was a child and Ronald Reagan. I remember it. But I also remember Gordon Gekko standing there saying, greed, for lack of a better term, is good. And that was the line for whatever year that was that just turned people on its head. And they're like, oh, yes, the 80s was so greedy. I think everybody missed what he was saying. And I've discussed this with my trainer who used to be a financial advisor. And my thought is he said that greed, for lack of a better term, is good. It is. It is a high deservability and a high abundance mindset. The word greed in our culture
Is
has a
bad.
negative connotation, but it doesn't. I mean, when you look it up, it doesn't say this is a bad word. This is a 4-letter word. It doesn't say that. It just describes
Right.
what greed is. And greed can be very bad and it can be very good. It can be used, it's a good and evil power. It's Janus. It's two faces of the same coin. So I find it interesting that as I go through this journey about money, that I'm finding the Gordon Gekko phrases, greed, for lack of a better term, is good. Yeah, he's absolutely right. The word greed just has a negative connotation. Can we use a different word? I don't know. And the as far as the finish your plate and there's starving children in China and all that jazz, my dad used that on me more than my mother did
Yep.
because of the way my mother was brought up with her Depression era family, with her Depression era parents. My dad's Depression era parents broke as a joke, my friends. They were sharecroppers.
Mhm.
Yes, finishing everything on your plate was absolutely demanded of because
Right.
it was expensive. It was survivability.
It was absolutely about just surviving. Um, and yeah, I think what we try to do is we try to place like a good or a bad on words. And so greed is a good example of that. Um, I think the question really becomes, who or what or how can you best serve? And especially for those that are in some type of serving role. And the truth is that a life of abundance allows you to serve. um so I don't I it's interesting to me just the negative connotations that we try to put around money, and that, money ruins it all. Money ruins marriages. All these things. And it's not that the money, it's again, money doesn't have feelings. It's
Mhm.
your thoughts and your feelings around money that causes the issue.
Yeah,
And that's, you know,
yeah. And
so
I love that. I'm gonna actually use that in another post.
yeah, money has no feelings. It doesn't care where it goes. It doesn't care what happens to it. It's your thoughts and feelings around money, that's really the determining factor. And that's so important to think about when you're estate planning, for example. So many people put those kinds of things off, like, oh God, I don't want to think about dying. I don't, and then I gotta put names to it in my trust and will and what? Oh my gosh. But the truth is that since money has no feelings, if you don't, it doesn't care where it goes, and it will go to the state, and that'll be really sad.
Mhm.
Um, and so, yeah, I don't, and I also don't. Something else that I run into quite a bit with, I think, people of my generation, even as I'm helping my son get into college, and now he earned an academic scholarship, but
Yeah.
he does still need some money in order to like live on campus, and he needs some other funds. And I've been trying to help him however I can. And I know I have a lot of friends that are like, well, my college wasn't paid for. I had to work through college.
Me too.
Well, me too. And I still have the student loans I have to pay as well.
Mm.
But why? I don't want that for my child. If I'm able to create a life of abundance and give him better and allow him a different opportunity, why wouldn't I want that for my child? Like, I don't think that that's creating a bad human being. I think it would be a bad human being if he wasn't necessarily trying to contribute back to society in any way. If he was just sitting at college, like, I'm just here and it's paid for and it's done. I know, at least in my case, he doesn't view that at all. There are standards he has to maintain to keep his scholarship, and he understands that the impact that that's going to have if he can't keep that scholarship.
Yep.
um, and so he's truly there to serve a purpose, and to move forward in life. And so why wouldn't I want to share whatever abundance I can with him? I don't want him sitting here at my age with student loans coming out of his ears. That's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
um Yeah, I don't. So even the mentality, in the workplace, I hear that all the time too. Well, I didn't get any training. I'm sorry you weren't trained. That doesn't make it right that the next employee doesn't get to go through an appropriate training program. I,
Yeah.
you know,
That's all about continuous improvement. I mean, you want to make sure that your employees are trained. You want them to see that abundance so that they stay.
right? So I think we do the same thing with money. Is I think we have this. Well, I didn't have. I understand you didn't have that. But that's not our true purpose. Our purpose is to, and God, I remember getting in arguments with my parents when I was a senior in high school. And I remember saying to them, I don't understand. Don't you want me to do better than you? I didn't understand how they would say, well, you have to get good grades and you need to figure out a way to get into college and you better do it. But then the second I wanted something that was, in their mind, above what they had been able to do, then it was, well, you're being a little selfish. And I'm thinking, now hold on. This is the mentality of I didn't have, or I've never been able to have, so you shouldn't either. And that's just continuing that cycle. We need to change that mindset back to abundance. What energy are we putting out around money? and how we're drawing it into us, and attracting it towards us rather than pushing it away. Well, it's selfish for me to want a better income. No, it's not selfish at all. It's not greedy. We've created these negative words around this. Our purpose here is not to be in sufferance constantly.
Right. Yes. And it is not selfish in any way, shape, or form. The words greed and selfish, they're just words. We put the negative spin on that. I have heard people say that self-care is selfish.
Yes.
And I that just blows my mind, because as a educated adult functioning in society, kind of, I find it very interesting that people are willing to run themselves into the ground with, just get up, go to work, come home, eat dinner, sleep, wash, rinse, repeat for 30 years. No, no, no. I'm going on my girls' weekend, or my girls' week. My husband had the opportunity to come with me to a second. I have a second conference in Miami this year. So in November, I have a conference in Miami. Let's go. It's your birthday. And he's like, no, I don't want to go. I'd rather have the time alone. And I'm like, okay, you don't have to tell me twice. Bye. So,
Right?
like, why can't we just go and spend a couple of days? But no, he doesn't want to do that. Fine. But that's something that I like. I like going to the beach. He hates it. So he would rather stay home and just kind of hang out here. Okay, cool. And, that makes him happy. That's fine. I feel a little dirtbaggish because it's his birthday when I come, the day I come back, but, whatever. We'll celebrate it another time. So, I'm doing that. I get massages. I get my hair done. I get a pedicure. No manicure because, just ick. But I need my toes did because I wear flip-flops. Do I go out and blow an exorbitant amount of money? Good God, no. Because I'm a good steward with the resources that I have. But it makes my teeth hurt to hear people say, well, I can't believe you just blow all that money on a massage. And I'm like, or what? Punch you in the face? I mean, there's a reason that you work out. You go to the gym, like every work day, right? That's just, some people would see that as a super luxury. And how could you not spend all this time with your son and all this other stuff? And no, you don't. People don't understand. You need to have that time. You need to have that time for yourself. You need to have that time away. You need to concentrate on you, because the happier and healthier you are, the better energy and the vibes that goes out into the universe, which rewards you in spades.
Right. We were not meant to stay in this state of sufferance. And I remember learning my freshman year in college in a sociology class, we talked about, can money buy happiness? And of course, we're all like, no, money can't buy happiness. And the teacher challenged us and said, if you were in a situation where the daily struggle to find where your food and shelter were going to come from, would money buy you happiness?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, it freaking would. Now, the level of happiness that we assign to that, because I think we also tend to assign happiness to material items because we put a dollar amount on the material item as well. That's where things get a little more tricky. But when we're talking about, if you're familiar at all with Maslow's hierarchy of needs, we're talking about that very bottom level of love and shelter and food. And if you're not meeting that basic needs and money could help you meet those basic needs, yes, money will buy you happiness.
Money
Um,
buys you choices. In our society, money buys you choices. Like,
yes,
um, I can't see anybody. Let me preface this by saying there are choices that some individuals make, and they choose to do what they choose to do. But it is hard in a society like ours to say that you can't have the very basic needs met. Some some people have made other choices. There's other reasons. Yes, there's a homeless problem. I'm not discounting that. But
right,
in general, if you want a place to stay, there are people that can help you. There are agencies that can help you. It is taxpayer funded, and it it happens. Okay. Um, in general, in our society, that bottom level is met one way or the other. And because we are so materialistic, those like you and I, who we have a career, we have a position, we have companies, whatever, we have the opportunity for the money that we make to help us buy choices.
mm,
And our choices make us happy because, after the light bill's paid, we got funds left. And we can
right.
go and buy. There's no way in hell I'm buying a $600 pair of pumps, but if I wanted to, I
I
could
would,
do that and bust my butt all the way down the stairs and wear them for the rest of my darn life. But,
right.
I have that
Yeah.
opportunity.
But think about that energy too. If you're growing up in a community where systemically people are in constant sufferance, and that's the energy that you're surrounded with from the day you're born,
Yeah. It's,
unfortunately, so many of those then stay stuck in
yep,
that state. Because how can you? Because not only systemically are you there, but that energy is so strong you can't see a way out.
yep. And unless you have very special people in your life, a teacher, a friend,
Right.
they're not going to, no one's going to help you see your way out of this. Um, but at the same time, you just hope and pray that, a situation comes along where they can see beyond it. And I've heard, I believe you were there with me. We heard a coach say that he had that type of mentality around him.
Yes.
What he did was he said, "Y'all, I need to leave you. I love you. You're my family, but I want more. I want better. And I have to disconnect from you." That doesn't mean that he's still disconnected from his family. He's very much part of his family. But he went and he made his money, and he's now reconnected with his family. But for that time that he needed to hit rock bottom and then come back up, he did. And he did it in his terms and with the way that he wanted to do things. And yeah,
Yeah.
he had to.
I know because he talks about, that he actually had to move out of his neighborhood and disconnect from all family and friends. And I'm sure that was very difficult. And I'm sure that they told him, well, in particular, in his case, you leave here, all the systemic racism, all the things that you're going to experience are going to hold you back. You'll be right back here in this neighborhood. And he just had the mindset that, nope, that's not. Now, I'm not saying that every single person had, but because I do believe that there are systemic issues that need resolved. I'm not denying that.
I agree.
But I am saying that there are stories of people who understood the energy that was around them and then had to take the action steps to figure out how to change the energy around them and move forward from there. And so the question of can money buy you happiness? Well, of course money can buy you happiness if you're sitting in a state of sufferance. Um, but it's all about that energy that is around you and around money and what energy you're putting into it to attract back.
Yeah. And just as a quick example, I am going to out myself right here. Today, my energy has been absolute garbage. And I have just been in a funk all day. I just was like, well, I don't know why she's worried about that. And, I've just been like, ah, like a little Tyrannosaurus Rex. I mean, even the dog felt it today. And she just kind of looked at me like, are you going to feel better tomorrow? Because, I can't with you in this energy. So I literally had to put everything down about 4:30, and I went and sat outside in the sun. And my habit is to pray, and I just was like, dear God, please help me with this energy. Get it away from me. It's bad juju. Just get it away from me. Which, I'm pretty sure that God is sitting there going, bad juju? Really? That's okay. All right. I got you, girl. I got you, boo. But I still kind of feel like right now, and could be that time of the month, which I'm waiting that really heavily. But it also could just be, it could be all kinds of things. But
Whatever.
I've been in that energy funk today. And dear God, I hope I get out of it by tomorrow, because it hurts. I mean, it hurts my spirit. The electricity that I normally feel and the energy.
And it takes more energy to do that
Mm-hmm.
than it does to, to just be like, oh, okay, so that happened. Whatever. They're worried about that. That's fine. I'm not. See you later.
Not my circus, not my monkeys.
Not my circus, not my monkeys. So, and move on. And so, yeah, no.
Mm-hmm.
It's all good. It's one of those things, but it for sure goes back to the point of the energy that you're putting out, and that energy that you're attracting back. And the same thing goes for money and the stories and the energy that you're putting out around that. I really recommend that Kyle Cease book. Um, and the reason why the illusion of money, part of the reason why I'm not saying that your other book, Rewire Your Brain, I think for your clients, I actually think they would really enjoy the other one.
I think they would too, but
That illusion of money, first of all, Kyle is hilarious.
he is.
He is funny.
He was an
And
actor, wasn't he?
I think so, or like a voiceover. Wasn't it something? It was something, or yeah, I don't remember.
Hold
But
on. Yeah, he's made more than 100 different appearances on TV and movie appearance. Here, let me try that again. He's made more than 100 different TV and movie appearances, including 10 Things I Hate About You. I don't remember him in that movie. Not Another Teen Movie, Jimmy Kimmel Live, Late Show with Craig Ferguson, Chelsea Lately, whatever that is. The Martin Short Show, whatever that is.
oh yeah, the Martin Short.
And numerous VH1 shows.
Huh.
He has two Comedy Central #1 specials. To his credit, and in 2009, he ranked #1 in Comedy Central's Comedy Stand-Up Showdown.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was an actor, and a comedian, and so he's naturally hilarious.
He's hysterical. So like if you end up with the audiobook, and I'm the same as you, I started with the audiobook and then I was like, oh no, I want to get like a workbook around this. This is like this is really good. But I think if you're really starting out and you're like, okay, I want to understand what they mean about, that I'm deserving and that I don't need this hustle and my energy around money, as like a start, I would start there if it were me,
Oh, yeah.
because it's lighthearted.
Absolutely. Good Lord. Absolutely. I can't find, I'm backwards. I can't find my freaking camera. Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I listened to this while I was walking in the morning, and I got most of the lessons, which is why, like you, I wanted the actual book, because you can go in here and you can highlight, and he actually has worksheets in here. I just noticed that.
Yes. Yes. And even when you listen to the audiobook, he'll explain something and he'll say, okay, let's pause a minute so that if you want to take notes on
Oh,
that or whatever, you know, um, I think as an introduction to getting your mindset around money being energy, that is a fantastic start. If anybody is like, what in the world are you guys talking about? Money is energy. I would start there. And then I definitely can see, the us women that are in some of the tech fields or STEM in any sort, that rewiring your brain, um, that would be another rewire for wealth. That's the one.
mhm.
That's another good one.
Yeah.
But I would say, as as a lighthearted introduction to money is energy. Oh, that's a fabulous source. Fabulous source.
Yeah. And if you are at the point in your life where you're like, I'm so broke, I can't even begin to look at the illusion of money. The illusion of money, yeah, it's elusive. I don't have any. I ain't got none. Get
Right.
the Jen Says Narrow book, You Are a Badass at Making Money. Because I promise you, she says it in the book. I've been there, I've done this, I was broke as a joke, and now she's not. And she explains the many different things that happened, and the world view that changed when her energy. So all three of these books are about energy. It says money, but it's not. It's 100% energy. 100%.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Well, I think that is a good place to start. If anybody is interested in learning more, or you really want to sit down and kind of discuss how your energy is impacting your mindset right now, or your health, or your wealth, or anything, feel free to reach out to Coach Leanne or myself, and we can share our contact information here as well. And until then, please be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Take Your Life Back with Grit and Grace. And we are here we're
Wednesday.
now here Wednesday at 7 o'clock Central, 8 Eastern. We switched up the days on everybody. So thank you all for joining. I am Coach Jen.
And I'm Coach Leanne.
And we are glad that you all joined. See you next week.
Bye.